Okay. So today we are so fortunate to have His Grace Ram Giridhari Prabhu from Navi Mumbai, India. And Prabhuji will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagvatam 7.9.23 verse. So Prabhuji, please take over the call. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Thank you so much for engaging me in this service. It's always a pleasure to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam in the Assembly of Vaishnavas. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we are reading from 7th canto 9th chapter, the chapter title Prahlada pacifies Lord Nrsingadeva with prayers. Text number 23. Drishta maya divi vibho kila dishnyapāṇāṃ Ayushriyo vibhava iccati yanjanoyam Yesmat pitukupitaha sa vijirbhitabhru Vishpurjitena lutita satute nirashta. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. My dear Lord, people in general want to be elevated to the higher planetary systems for a long duration of life, opulence, and enjoyment. But I have seen all of those through the activities of my father. When my father was angry and he laughed sarcastically at the demigods, they were immediately vanquished simply by seeing the movements of his eyebrows. Yet my father, who was so powerful, has now been vanquished by you within a moment. Purport. Within this material world, one should understand by practical experience the value of material opulence, longevity, and influence. We have actual experience that even on this planet, there have been many great politicians and military commanders like Napoleon, Hitler, Subhash Chandra Bose, and Gandhi. But as soon as their lives were finished, their popularity, influence, and everything else were finished also. Prahlad Maharaj formally gathered the same experience by seeing the activities of Hiranyakashipu, his great father. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj did not give any importance to anything in this material world. No one can maintain his body or material achievements forever. A Vaishnava can understand that nothing within this material world, not even that which is powerful, opulent, or influential, can endure. At any time, such things may be vanquished. And who can vanquish them? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should conclusively understand that no one is greater than the Supreme God, the Supreme Great. Since the Supreme Great demands Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, every intelligent man must agree to this proposal. One must surrender unto the Lord to be saved from the wheel of repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Drishta Maya Divibho Giladishnyapāṇāṃ Ayushriyo Vibhava Icchati Yanjanoyam Yesmat Pitu Kupitahasa Vijrambitabhru Vispurjitena Lulita Sute Nirashta. My dear Lord, people in general want to be elevated to the higher planetary systems for a long duration of life, opulence, and enjoyment. But I have seen all of these through the activities of my father. When my father was angry and he laughed sarcastically at the demigods, they were immediately vanquished simply by seeing the movements of his eyebrows. Yet my father, who was so powerful, has now been vanquished by you within a moment. What a wonderful prayer by Prahlad Maharaj to pacify Nrsingadev. Sometimes we don't understand the purports written by great acharyas. The only solution in that case is to take advantage of Vaishnavas and in their company, in their life activities, we get to learn the purports of Srimad Bhagavatam. The way Prahlad Maharaj is responding, handling this current situation is amazing. We will learn today, as usual, through some sets of reflections. What is that Prahlad Maharaj is teaching us through this prayer? The first reflection that I want to highlight and register from this current context is, since the time I knew about God, since that time I started to stand in front of the Lord and pray, up till today, my head and heart, more than 90 to 95% of the time, makes me think I should ask the Lord. I should demand from the Lord. I should pray to the Lord. Very seldom I think that it is my duty to give to the Lord. It is my responsibility to glorify the Lord. It is my life's mission to work for the pleasure of the Lord without any expectations. Prahlad Maharaj, by the way of his conversation with Narsinghadev, is time and again establishing how one should deal with self-realized souls, and to an extent one should deal with Krishna in the truest sense. Of course, in our conditional state, instead of asking anyone else, asking Krishna is considered better. But how long we will keep on saying that? At some point in time, we should agree to go and tell Krishna that, my dear Krishna, for the last 46 years and for the last several lifetimes, you have been simply giving us and looking after us. And even from now till the time eternity, you are going to look after us. But when will that day be mine? When I am going to think of you and try to do something for you. When we are able to think like that, when we are able to meditate like that, then we are called mature devotees. So in our practice in Krishna consciousness, we should have more and more prayers and agendas and desires that I want to do something for Krishna and for Guru, rather than want to take something from Guru and from Krishna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying very nicely in one of the songs, Dana Janara Kobita Sundari Boli Bona Chahi Deho Sukakari Janme Janme Dao Ohe Gaura Hari Ahai Tuki Bhakti Charane Tomar. When will I cry out that I have no longer any desire for wealth and followers, poetry and beautiful women, all of which are meant just for bodily pleasure? O Gaura Hari, give me costless devotional service, bhakti to your lotus feet, birth after birth. I want to give something to Krishna. I was forwarded one corporate giant, a corporate heavy-weighted person's interview. This person is none other than Alibaba's owner, Jack Ma. So he once mentioned in the interview that people are nowadays used to hear about doing smart work, not hard work. We always tell our children, gone are those days where you have to do hard work. Now zamana smart work ki hai. So rather than working hard, learn to work smart. That's what we generally hear, and even to an extent we have used that phrase for devotees. That work smart, don't work hard. But when I heard this guy's interview, he's bringing another dimension to this working. He said, what is the great fun in working smart? Machines are smarter than humans. Machines are doing smarter work, which otherwise human takes long time. So, an intelligent person will not try to work smart, he will try to work wiser. So instead of hard work and instead of smart work, do wise work. And that guy was explaining, even though he is not a practicing devotee, I'm not sure where these wisdoms he is getting, but then he made a lot of sense. And he said, the primary definition of wise work means I know or I get to know what I don't want in my life. If we are all asking every one of us, they all very, emphatically, categorically will be able to say what we want in our life. But wise men are those who will boldly state what they don't want in our life. And Prahlad Maharaj is one such wise and wonderful devotee. That's my first reflection. So in our Krishna conscious journey, being wiser is very much important. We have been greedy, we have been lusty, we have been egoistic, we have been in illusion and gone to Krishna and asked several things. And we have justified all those asking, telling that they are all going to be dovetailed in Krishna's service. Glorious. But more glory is when we say no to Krishna. Krishna, I don't want this. Krishna is enough of this. Krishna, I am, needing only this. I don't want. Please don't give. I was recently in a place called Madurai. So, one of our godbrothers, senior godbrothers, he made a very profound statement. They, as a community of devotees, they are very good in looking after devotees, and they were feeding me so many wonderful prasadam. So jokingly, I said, Prabhu, so much of prasadam is being prepared and fed. I'm not sure how to manage. He said a very interesting point, saying that we are supposed to look after Vaishnavas and Krishna opulently. At the same time, it is the duty of every individual Vaishnava to make a choice what he do, what he don't do. So how much you should eat is your choice. Just because it is offered to Krishna doesn't mean that you are supposed to eat overeating. That is also atyahara. Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Instruction that cooking things for your own taste and offering to Krishna is also not coming under the category of Jihva Vegam, even though it is offered to Krishna. So the bottom line is, the progress in our Krishna consciousness means how much we have courage, how much we have understanding, how much we have conviction, how much we have maturity in saying, I don't want any more, it is enough, and I want to reduce my requirement and focus more on Krishna. That is why Srinivasacharya, in his offering, in his Sad Goswami Ashtakam, he is making a very wonderful prayer. Tyaktva turnamasesh mandalapati Shrenim sada tuchavat Bhutva dina ganesa kau karunaya Kaupina kantashritau Tyaktva turnamasesha mandalapati Shrenim sada tuchavat. They gave up all sorts of identity and designations which were associated with their body, and they elevated their consciousness, absolutely focusing on Krishna consciousness and the services that they are supposed to render. Nothing else were their focus. So, as practicing devotees in our lives, somewhere at some point in time, we should have these characters coming out of us. This is my first reflection. So, Prahlad Maharaj here very nicely is trying to mention that I have seen enough. I have seen success. I have seen power. I have seen position. But none of those things are, eternal. Ambarish Prabhu, couple of years before, as a part of TOVP fundraising, he came to India and he had a press conference or some sort of meeting with industrialists, big industrialists, encouraging them, please give something for Krishna, art of giving, kind of. So in that, he mentioned, it's a published one. It was published in some local newspapers and local TV channels and all. He said, my dear friends, I have seen the entire cross section of what it means to be earning money. I have seen the end of it, because he's from a very, very wealthy, rich family. There is no fun. If you think there is happiness, there is fun, there is no absolute fun. So rather than we walk that path and finally come to the same conclusion, why don't we walk another path where assurances are given about our happy, enthusiastic, eternal life? So please come forward and support Krishna consciousness. That was his calling. So I want to wrap up my first reflection by saying that Prahlad Maharaj, by his wonderful prayer, he is teaching us how to be a wise Vaishnava, knowing what is not required and focusing on what is required. Second reflection is about, Prabhupada writes in the purport that many, many great personalities, they all had come and gone. They all had been powerful at some point in time. They had been famous at some point in time. They had such a big fan following at some point in time. But then, eventually they were finished also. Their popularity, influence and everything were finished. In India, we jokingly used to say this. I'm not sure if such a scenario is there in US also. When a person is in power and position, suppose if he is the managing director of a multinational company, or if he is a minister of a particular stream, till his retirement, till he is in power, he receives respect from his subordinates, so-called respect from his subordinates. But the day he is retired, he may be having friends with everyone, but will he dictate, will he be able to command over the same respect? That's a big question mark. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying that if anyone is thinking that just by me being powerful, just by me being in the very topmost position, just by me being an authority of something, I get everything, the answer is no. And Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Dukkhalayam asashvatam. It is both temporary and also filled with unhappiness. When there is dukkhalayam, when there is dukkha, how can we even be successful? So hence my second reflection is that in our spiritual journey, in our Krishna consciousness journey, we need to know that all that we acquire have a expiry date. If not expiry date, they have a date associated to that date only. Those things will be with us. After that, it will be snatched away from us by the nature. Even if you do not wish to give it up, it will be taken away. Whether it is our body, whether it is our belongings, whether it is our money, whether it is our power, position, name, fame, followers, etc. The only thing that is going to be eternally traveling with us is our devotional service and our devotional, blessings that we have acquired. So, Prahlad Maharaj is educating, Prabhupada is explaining that all the power positions, he has seen everything. Hiranyakashipu had everything. Hiranyakashipu was so arrogant. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful. He thought that he has become immortal. He thought that he has won over death. He didn't realize that Krishna is the master of all that is existing. I'll tell you a very interesting story. One time, I think I've shared the story before, but it's okay. In this context, it is good to repeat. One time, Yamaraja was walking in the earthly planets and he stopped by a tree which had a parrot. So Yamaraja looked at the parrot in a very, very strange manner. Assume that suddenly a police officer, FBI, or someone very senior suspiciously and in a very strange manner stares at you. Naturally, we get, little concerned, right? So the parrot was also worried and went to the king of birds, which is Garuda. Parrot said, "My dear king, please save me. I am slightly concerned because of Yamaraj's, strolling." Garuda said, "Don't worry, you have come to me. It is my duty to protect my praja. So only if you are going to stay in this tree, you have some risk. I will do something. Let us pack up food for next 1 week. You sit on my back. I will carry you to a far distant location which you can't fly yourself. And you stay in a cave in a relaxed manner, having vacation. Probably after 1 week, when everything gets settled down, I will come and bring you back here." The parrot was very, very happy, jubilant. All the fear vanished, and as planned, Garuda carried the parrot along with some food for 1 week, some fruits and other things to eat. And after flying for such a long distance, Garuda entered a cave with a parrot, and to his surprise, as soon as they entered the cave, the parrot died. Garuda was so angry and upset. He went to Yamaraj to challenge and accuse him. And on the contrary, Yamaraj was almost waiting in the gate to welcome Garuda and said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, Garuda. Thank you." Garuda said, "Why are you thanking me? I came here to accuse you. I wanted to protect my praja. You tricked and killed him." Yamaraj said, "My dear friend, originally, when I saw the parrot, the reason I was suspicious was, according to the time calculation, the parrot's death was written in that particular cave where you took. I calculated on its own, the parrot is never going to make it within that time. So I was a bit worried if there was any calculation mistake at my end. That is why I strangely looked at the parrot. But you made my life easier." The point here is that as sure as death, not only death, the temporary nature of all that we possess, whether it is beauty, knowledge, wealth, health, followers, and anything that we have acquired in this material world, it has got an associated time period. On a lighter note, I just want to say, one day I was walking in Mumbai local train station. One person came with a t-shirt. In the t-shirt, it is written, nowadays t-shirt with funny quotes are very famous, right? So the t-shirt was written, "Girlfriends are like medicine." So that was the front side. In the rear side of the t-shirt, the remaining statements were written. "Girlfriends are like medicine." I don't know what it means. So, incidentally, I saw the rear side also. He said that they come with an expiry date. So the point is, we always have an associated expiry date or the date of its existence in our life. It will not stay with us even 1 second more than that. So the second aspect that Prahlad Maharaj is trying to teach us is that which is temporary, that which is going to be taken away from us, how much importance one should give vis-a-vis that which is eternal, permanent, and going to travel with us. The irony is, by the time we realize this, our 45-50 years of Krishna consciousness are over. We would be in our 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, period. But never mind, at least at some point in time we should realize. When we came to Krishna consciousness, some of us came to Krishna consciousness out of curiosity. Some of us came to Krishna consciousness out of problems in our life. Some of us came to Krishna consciousness out of inquisitiveness. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna artho jignasu artharthi jnani sabarada shaba. So there are 4 types of people surrendered to Krishna, and over and above that, there are self-realized souls who are trying to help us, rescue us from this whirlwind of materialistic life. So somehow we came to Krishna consciousness. Somehow we have understood the initial set of lessons, which is how Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, how chanting the holy name of the Lord is everything. So to that extent, we have been successful. Now, all those serious students, all those students of Srimad Bhagavatam, we are in such a state where we have to make some decisions. What is the decision? What is supposed to be my priorities in life? Is it towards temporary vanishing things, or it should be towards that which is going to travel with me even after I leave this body? We know the correct answer, but still we have a challenge. So, but at least let us agree to the extent that we need to reprioritize our life in such a way that we should give utmost focus for those things that will eternally accompany us. Whenever I say this, we always have one fear. Maybe, we will be asked to not work. Maybe we'll ask not to marry. Maybe we'll be asked to give up our resources. Krishna is not saying any of those things. Krishna is only saying this. The day you realize that you have to prioritize everything for Krishna, he is saying just remove your name, your tag associated with everything in your life and replace them with Krishna's name. Your house, it's no more your house. It is Krishna's house. Your mobile phone, it is Krishna's mobile phone. It is Krishna's car. It is Krishna's resources. It is Krishna's bank balance. I am just the caretaker. And as a part of my duty, I utilize these resources for pleasing Krishna, for serving Krishna, for glorifying Krishna and his dear devotees. This brings in our third realization, our third reflection, the last one. Prahlad Maharaj, as he was trying to explain and as he was offering his prayers to Nrsingadev, he is trying to, very convincingly and clearly trying to teach a lesson of surrender with a purpose. Means that I should learn to surrender to the Supreme Lord, not as a matlabi. In Hindi, the word matlabi means I surrendered for a vested agenda, which we always do. We try to go and glorify someone for some associated vested agenda. But Prahlad Maharaj is trying to explain. He says, therefore, one should conclusively understand that no one is greater than the Supreme Great, since the Supreme Great demands Sarvadharman Paridyajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Every intelligent man must agree to this proposal. Not shall, can, may. Must agree to this proposal. So one must surrender unto the Lord to be saved from the wheel of repeated birth, death, old age, disease. So my third reflection is that in our Krishna consciousness journey, as practicing devotees, we should have at some stage in our devotional life, we should be starting to exhibit the sign of renunciation, starting to exhibit the sign of dependency. We should starting to exhibit the sign of surrender with purpose. Surrender not as a vested interest for some personal agenda, being self-centered. We should surrender with the purpose to glorify, please the Supreme Lord and fulfill the mission of all our acharyas. So, the Krishna consciousness journey can be many, more times exciting and interesting if we learn to lead the life as directed by our acharyas for the pleasure of Krishna in the association of self-realized souls and with absolute dependence that Krishna will protect me. I repeat, Krishna consciousness will be very exciting and joyfully performed when we are operating with full surrender with purpose in the association of self-realized soul as directed by them for the pleasure of the Lord. Then we will be able to experience the Kevala Ananda Kanda, only happiness. And this happiness doesn't mean that there are no obstacles, there are no challenges with respect to body and the society. But this happiness means this nature of Krishna consciousness is such that it can eradicate, it can mitigate, it can suppress, it can completely cure us from the bad and painful experience. Even in pain, we will be able to see pleasure, as in the case of Prahlad Maharaj. So, our materialistic life is like that of a bubble, which eventually is going to burst. So, why not we try to focus on that which is going to be permanent, that which is going to be eternal, that which is going to be beneficial, that which is going to be important for us to execute in this very human form of life. And if we don't do it, then we are going to miss a very important, rare chance that we are given. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, I have seen what my father had gone through. I have seen what he has, achieved in life. So he may have been proud to say that he has achieved some things, but then, technically speaking, his achievements are, simply waste, simply useless. So it is imperative that each and every one of us, we have to give utmost attention to the details, because our interest in Krishna consciousness, our interest in following the three advices that I just said, can be acknowledged, can be assured, depends upon how much we are giving attention to the details. Because when we give attention to the details, which means I am interested in following. If I am very, very superficial, then I am Krishna is also going to be superficial with us. So it is imperative that as a practicing devotee, we try to develop this sense of what I call as surrender with purpose. If you don't surrender with purpose, then we are going to simply waste our valuable human form of life. And people may accomplish something, people may try to make some, progress, that in the journey of Krishna consciousness, that progress is appreciated, but rather than dwelling on the progress, as Prahlad Maharaj says, that in general people want to be elevated to higher planetary systems for a long duration of life, but those will also be, snatched away, those will also be, withdrawn, those will also be taken back if you are not going to focus on something permanent. So for us, permanent is our eternal constitutional position, Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. And by assuming the role of Krishna Das, both we will be happy, our surroundings will be happy, and no amount of disturbance can deter us if we are convinced of that part. So these are the three sets of reflections that I want to highlight from this particular shloka, where Prahlad Maharaj has very nicely, very elegantly, or whatever you say, that with all maturity, trying to tell. Because if you see the tone and words that he is using, that's not how. So tomorrow, if Narasimhadev is going to stand in front of me, even after finishing all the prayers, all the stuffs, we will not be talking this language. We will be only thinking about what I can ask him. In no one place, in spite of all the torture that he had been through, in no one place he has registered it as a complaint. In no one place Prahlad Maharaj has registered as any request. In no one place Prahlad Maharaj has made some demands. He is just simply glorifying, appreciating, and making it clear that his life is meant for preaching the glories of the Supreme Lord and winning more and more souls to the lotus feet of Sri Narasimhadev. So our life, our journey, our Krishna consciousness is also supposed to be in that spirit. That is what our Goswamis, that is what our seniors, that's what our acharyas have taught, and let us learn them and try to make our lives perfect. Like try to stop this cycle of birth and death, old age disease, birth, death, old age disease. Otherwise, we will have to come back again. Punar Mushiko Bhava. As Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Asradadanaha Purusham Dharmasyasya Param Tapam Aprapyamam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. If anybody is not having any faith in this process, then they will have to come back again in this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi cycle. So before I end the session, I would like to tell one small flow chart of information which will help us in practicing all these three reflections. The flow chart is like this. Arjuna is asking Krishna, my dear Krishna, what is that which is forcing me to commit sins? As if something is forced upon me, what is that is making me commit sin? Because sometimes we wonder, Prabhuji, whatever you are saying is, interesting or whatever that is, whatever relevant. But then we are forced. We are forced to commit sins. So he's asking, Arjuna is asking what? And Krishna is saying that it is lust. Lust means our desire to enjoy. Dhyayato Vishaya Pumsan Sangas Teju Bhajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama. He says that Kama, it is the lust and associated. If the lust is fulfilled, we get greed. If the lust is not fulfilled, we get angry. Now the question arises, where does the lust come from? It comes from the association of three modes of material nature. When somebody is associating with Rajoguna and Tamoguna, naturally they embrace lust. So if our activities, if our desire, if our sangha, if our choices, if they are associated with modes of material nature, then what happens? We naturally get lusty, and lust makes us to commit sin. Now the question is, how do I stop this committing the three modes of material nature? How will I come out of this? Krishna explains, third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 45, 46 somewhere. He says, by regular practices of Krishna consciousness, one can easily cross over the evil effects of modes of material nature. Which means my Krishna conscious practices will help me save from these three modes of material nature. Now the question I ask is that, how will I be able to practice Krishna consciousness seriously? Because that is where I came. I wanted to practice Krishna consciousness, but sins are forced upon me, and because of lust is because of three modes, and three modes can be handled when we practice Krishna consciousness. So this is like a catch-22 situation. So tell me, how can I practice Krishna consciousness seriously? And the answer is, Krishna consciousness practices can be made serious only when we are associating with serious practitioners. So a sadhu who performs unalloyed devotions, who has got a desire to perform pure devotional service, who is interested in Ananya Bhakti, he is the one who can help you firm up your devotional practices. So देखते देखते हमारा flow chart कहाँ तक पहुंचा? Where we have reached in our flow chart. The sinful propensity can be mitigated when we surrender to us pure devotees. So all these three reflections that we just discussed today, where Prahlad Maharaj is trying to teach us how to be a wise Vaishnava. Prahlad Maharaj is teaching us how everything in this world is non-permanent. And Prahlad Maharaj is teaching us how to learn to have a surrender with purpose. Those are the three reflections that we had. All these three things are, possible to be implemented when we have the association of correct Vaishnavas who are performing Ananya Bhakti. So thank you so much. We will stop here and take up any questions or comments. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. There are any questions, comments or reflections? I'll be happy to respond. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, looking at the instance of the bird and Yamraj, is it okay to say that regardless of whatever medical attention or regardless of whatever prayers or those who are in critical illness, their time is up and all this efforts is useless and that should not be done?
Very nice question, and it's a very important point that we don't understand. That in a Vaishnava's life and in the main course of non-devotees, there is a small dynamics. So let us have a general rule. General rule is everybody is governed by their own destiny. What they are destined, they all pre-written, they will get them. But in case of Vaishnavas, in case of those who understand this human form of life can actually help a person to rewrite his destiny, and that person, with the help of prayers, with the help of Vaishnava's support, they have one small leeway to rewrite. Prabhupada explains this in a very nice way. Like how in our hand we have this rekha, what we call as imprints in the hand, or Jyotish science. People see the lions in the hand and they say Bhavishya. They tell about our future, about our marriage, health, wealth, everything. Prabhupada explains, when we clap our hands in the kirtan, when we sing the holy name of the Lord, the lions, whatever may have been destined for us, is also modified, is also changed. So, three points I would like to answer you. Number one, yes, in general course of life, what we are destined, we are going to get, independent of whatever medical treatments and everything one may be given. That doesn't mean that we are not supposed to try, but how much ever we try, The time is the essence, and it is controlled by higher powers, and that is proportionate to what we are destined to. Number two, for those who are surrendered devotees, this time and destiny is relatively modifiable in the sense that it is in the hands of Krishna, who try to tweak the laws, depends upon the prayers, desires, and the associated blessings one may have received. There are people who live a bonus life, so which means they are given an extra consideration. It is like a president of the country trying to forgive, excuse, release a criminal whom otherwise have been declared to be hanged until death. The third point that I want to say is that it is a very complex algorithm to state somebody has died because of his karma, because of his what reason and destiny. So in a person's life, anything happens. Why death? Anything happens. It could be a combination of any of those 5 following things: destiny, free will, desire, Krishna's choice, and time. And I am classifying them as 5 different things, but they are intertwined. Sometimes all 5 of them are into a formula for a person, but what leads to the other is very, very subjective. Destiny is because of our past karma. Free will is because of what we are currently thinking to change the course of life and things like that. So third is with respect to someone's desire. So I am differentiating free will and desire as 2 separate things because they are 2 sides of the same coin. Sometimes we may just desire but not act on them. Free will is little bit acting on them and taking some decision. Fourth is time. You may also have something called as collective karma, or what you can say that it is not a suitable time. Probably you have been in a situation, surroundings where all auspiciousness were there. So sometimes somebody may be blessed because of some agyata sukriti. And last but not least, it is definitely sometimes Krishna's call to change things. So all 5 play a part. Any 4, any 3, any 2, any 1 can play a part. And this is a very complex algorithm. So we cannot point of fingers and say. But as devotees, as practicing devotees, our mindset should be, we as a person who is in trouble should pray to Krishna that, my dear Lord, in whatever may be, Sukher, Dukher, Bhulo, Nakor, Vadaner, Hari Nam Korore. That should be, in happiness or distress, please bless me so that I never forget to chant the holy name of the Lord. That should be the individual's prayer. The surrounding families and friends' prayer should be, my dear Lord, please help the devotee. If you wish to, make him live longer, please help him. Or we wish him to live longer because he had been a very good support to us. Please help. Either way. If the Lord wishes, of course, nobody can change. We can say, my dear Lord, he has been our, pillar, backbone for our things. Please allow him to stay with us more so that we can get more and more benefit. And the Lord can do that. It is not that something that he can't do it. From that perspective, those prayers are bona fide, and several times we have seen people have made it. So in that algorithm, somebody can argue them surviving is also destiny, can be argued. So that is why I said that this algorithm which triggered what next agenda, we cannot say, but at least these 5 variables together contribute towards someone's action and reaction. Am I making sense, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. So we should pray to the Lord if he wishes, then not directly pray, not ask anything.
I'm saying that should be our prayer. I mean, suppose, for example, I am in terminally ill. Then I should pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, whatever may be your wish, that's okay, but please help me make sure that I never forget you. And if I am praying for someone, I should pray depends upon what my relationship is, what is my depth of the connection is. I can pray that if you wish, because obviously he has to wish, he has to sanction. In fact, it is not only for the death, it is for everything in our life. Whether you have marriage, whether it is job, whether it is house, whether it is car. Krishna, if you wish. So we have to express it correctly. That is why prayer is an effective communication. Tell Krishna, Krishna, you see what? I want you. I want to come to you. I want to serve you. At the same time, with my limited intelligence, I think I should have a car. I should have a house. I should be marrying. If you think that my marriage, my car, my house is going to take me away from you, I do not want them. So the bottom line is, today I am friends with you. My being friends with you, my being a devotee to you, cannot be compromised at the cost of what I am desiring. If what I am desiring is going to help, please provide them. Otherwise, I would like to maintain what I've already what I've already gained. Today I am friends with Praveen Govinda Prabhu. Tomorrow, if I'm going to make friends with somebody else, if somebody says, no, you should first relinquish Praveen Govinda Prabhu's relationship, then you become friends with me, that's not fair. So today I've made friends with Krishna. So we can always tell Krishna, if you desire so, if you sanction so. So that is the right way of doing it. Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, please go
I
ahead.
have one question. Like it's philosophical about the purpose of our activities with this body. So, we have our karma, destiny, sanchit karma. So it will take effect either to bring happiness and distress. So why are we working?
Two things. Number one, that as a practicing devotee, we are always entitled to take care of two things: our conditional responsibility as well as our constitutional responsibility. Not only devotees, anybody for that matter, they are supposed to fulfill their conditional responsibility. Conditional responsibility meaning as a son, as a husband, as a father, as a brother, as a citizen, as a employee. So we have some conditional responsibility. But this conditional responsibility should support or subset your constitutional responsibility, which is the soul's function or soul's duty to surrender to Krishna and eventually make use of this human form of life. So both conditional responsibility and constitutional responsibility, they both need to be looked after. And the way it is supposed to be done is such that we are supposed to do them as our duty without any expectation of the results as we want. Rather, we should leave it, as I mentioned in the previous question, we should leave it to the Lord to sanction as he wishes. This is one level of devotion. The higher level of devotion is we live our life for Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj did not live a life for him and purified by connecting with Krishna. So there is a difference between Prabhupada says this, I cook for myself and offer it to Krishna. That is called prasadam. I cooked for Krishna, give it to Krishna and accept the remnants. That is also prasadam. Which is superior? Obviously the second one. I think I have told you the story before. Krishna had come to Hastinapur from Dwaraka. Everybody got to know Krishna has come. So everybody kept on welcoming Krishna to their house. So Krishna very, nicely as gentleman kept on saying that thank you for your invitation. I will come some other time. When Krishna was crossing Vidura's house, Vidura called Krishna, "My dear Krishna, please come to your house." And Krishna went inside. Everybody called Krishna, "Krishna, please come to my house and grace our house." And Vidura said, "My dear Krishna, please come to your house." So, what is the difference? Vidura, in his subconscious mind, he has already understood, I am actually living in Krishna's house rather than Krishna is coming to my house. So, to that extent, if somebody is surrendered, then karma, urma and all have no problem. They are all completely cleansed and is transcendental. I mean, making sense, Prabhu?
Yes, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah. So your soul is active. So it will has to do something accordingly. Constitutional, bodily, rather the varnashrama duties are they ascribed, and as well as constitutional Bhagavad Dharma duties are also ascribed. Accordingly, he has to do. Who has pure Krishna Bhakti, he is always serving Krishna, and by means of which all other subordinate lower dharma, all lower duties are all subsumed.
Okay, since you have triggered, I will tell you something. The formula: duty, carrier, service. Service as in devotional service. So I will tell you, set of my understanding. If duty is done as a service, we can call it as dharma. If service is done as a duty, it is called devotion. If duty is done for a job, career, aspiration, it is ignorance. But if somebody is performing a job for fulfilling his duty, it is dharma. When somebody performs his devotional service as a job, as a career, it is abominable. But if somebody is performing a job as a service, this is missionary. So it is a very tricky thing. I will repeat just for the sake of it, because it is it's a very subtle aspect. Actions are same, but the intentions are, adjusted. Depends upon the intention, the entire dynamics change. I perform my duty as a service, it is dharma. If I perform my service as a duty, it is devotion. If somebody performs his duty for a career, for a just job, for the sake of getting name, fame, power, position, everything, then it's actually ignorance. But if somebody is performing his career, doing his career, his job, his career growth, for performing his duty, fulfilling his duty, then it is dharma, because he is supposed to look after his duties or his dharma correctly. If anyone performs services as a job, meaning I do Bhagvatam and I charge 25,000 rupees, I do my thing for money, then it is abominable. But if somebody doubts their career, their job, their profession as a service, that is missionary. So it is very tricky. Many times we get carried away, and it is important for us to make sure that we are very much focused and follow in the footsteps of Mahabhagavatas. Is it okay?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Geeta. Thank you
Krishna.
very much for such an illuminating class. Prabhuji, I'm not able to get the difference between service and dharma.
Service is devotion. Service is a part of, service is your constitutional duty. Dharma is associated with your conditional duty. Basically, when I say dharma and service, I'll differentiate. Dharma as a husband, dharma of a son, dharma of a wife, dharma of a, in your current manifestation. Service is my constitutional. I am eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So whether I am asked, if somebody asks me or not asks me, I am supposed to perform my service without anything in return, any expectation. In dharma, in duties, there are, there are certain things in give and take. There are supposed to be do's and don'ts. But in devotional service is beyond all of those dualities. It is only meant for Krishna's pleasure. So there is a difference between dharma and bhakti. Service is associated with bhakti. Dharma is associated with righteousness.
So,
Okay?
service is higher, obviously.
Obviously, any day.
So basically, we are involving everything around Krishna.
Yes,
right?
That is why bhakti.
But that is bhakti. But you can do your duties with Krishna as Lord Krishna as a center, so that becomes service.
Yes.
Like
Yes, that's what I said.
I'm
when you perform your service as a duty, for example, you are making sure that, hey, come what may, I need to make sure that I am supposed to be, performing this service independent of I am being looked after, my, health is okay. It's your set routine. It's part of your life. Then you're called devotional person, because you are not, you're already set in your mindset that I have to please Krishna, I have to serve Krishna.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. The other thing is that it's so subtle that, like you said, Vidura said that Krishna, please come to your house. So how do we break it down and further living like that it is Krishna's house? Saying it is an easy thing to do, but to live it on a daily basis, how do we break it down?
It is a multi-layered approach, and the very first thing is to start loving Krishna. And which means I should start developing a desire to love Krishna. It is very simple, Mataji. It is like a person with a child. For him to call everything in the house belong to the child, it doesn't take much time, because he loves him. Anything that you do, beta, आपके लिए घर है, आपके लिए गाड़ी है, आपके लिए कपड़ा है, आपके लिए खाना है. So the person whom you love the most, what will he not give? Today we are not able to call it Krishna, this is your house, because we are currently using Krishna, not loving Krishna. We are loving Krishna theoretically, but practically in action we are using Krishna. That is the first point that I said in the class. That today we are all going to Krishna, standing in front of Krishna, offering prayers to Krishna, and asking Krishna for us, which is okay, not bad. But what is ultimatum? I should give myself to Krishna, and I should give myself to Krishna without anything expectations in back return from him. So what is expected of us? Ishopanishad is encouraging us to teach about the transcendental nature of Krishna, saying that everything belongs to him. He is the owner of everything. All that you see is his. Without that understanding, somewhere we are claiming those resources as ours, and that is our stupidity. So how do we, go back to the original case? By start loving Krishna. When I love him, whomever I love, I will not have any problem in attaching that, my stuff to him. Which means, ideally speaking, you will be, situated in your constitutional real self when you love Krishna, and for you to behave like Vidura won't be much of a difficulty. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, but the thing is, I understand what you're saying, but what in practicality, like when you said for a child, it's easy because the child is dependent on you, so you kind of like the water flows downwards, right? So
it is not child dependent on you, because you begot the child.
Sorry?
Today you are saying child, the house is yours. You don't give the child to the house to child. But when you grow up, when the child grow up, when you become old, where will you write your will? This house belongs to my child. My child will get this house. Because somewhere you think, I gave birth to my child, so he is the natural, inheritor for my property. Similarly, if somebody thinks Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna, if he will always focus to see to that whether the house is in his name, her name, anybody's name, it will be for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna will be the beneficiary. So I agree today we are not able to comprehend. That's why I said the first step is to work towards loving Krishna. And to love Krishna, we have to, as I said in the flow chart, the association with yesterday evening we were discussing in our Chaitanya Bhagavata class. The Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj writes in the purport, Chaitanya Bhagavata, Madhya Kanda, 18th chapter, text number 5. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj says, in the purport where Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying, my dear friends, with fixed mind, please attentively hear Madhya Kanda of Chaitanya Bhagavata. That's a verse. So we were analyzing what is this fixed mind. Today our mind is wavering. Today our mind is all over the place. Today our mind is thinking that how I am supposed to be the beneficiary. Please understand, easiest way to tell you that when somebody is becoming a soldier, so today we are normal people, a person, let us talk about ideal use case. Let us not get into the modern day scenarios. In an ideal use case, what makes a person become a soldier? When somebody is becoming a soldier, does he not know that he is ready to sacrifice his life? Does he not know that he is ready to sacrifice his family comfort? Does he not know that he is ready to give importance to country over his personal thought? What makes him to develop that desire? Similarly, the same attachment a soldier is having for his nation over his personal comfort, a devotee is able to think for Krishna over himself. It is just the matter of cultivation of desire and thought process. So that's all is the science.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very clear. Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Also, Prabhuji, in our last call, if you remember, you told me to get in touch with you for the
Yeah, I got your message. I'm sorry. I was traveling. I will respond to your message.
No worries. Thank you, Prabhuji.
I'll respond to you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for this nectarian class, as always. It was so powerful, and the question answer session was so informative, and the Praveen Govind Prabhu who asked the question, he was our pioneer member. So today we are very happy to hear you, Prabhuji. So let us welcome Praveen Govind Prabhu in our traditional way by chanting 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Welcome, Prabhuji. Your conference again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Praveen Govind Prabhu, I'm not sure if I had, by my etiquette did not address you correctly. So correct me if I am wrong in somewhere. I'm sure you must be also well learned. Maybe out of your humility and help me learn, you ask me questions. So thank you so much for doing all your wonderful service, Prabhu.
No, Prabhuji, I'm your servant, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, please come every day and give your association. Hare Krishna.
Sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So if nobody has any question, we can end up.
Thank you for nectarian and wonderful class, Prabhuji, as always. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Always Prabhupada.
All Krishna Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
वंशाकल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिन्धुवेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय। जय शिरदास ठाकुर की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। जय प्रभुपाद की जय। जय राम गिरधारी प्रभु जी की जय।
जय
प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And welcome back, Savita Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.